I was there. I saw it up close and personal. And before we get to the Dybantsa end of it, the BYU game, Clemson game, the way that it started, Florida UConn being the nightcap, the building was probably, I want to say at tip, it was probably like 35% full. I think some BYU fans might have underestimated the commute from wherever they were staying, but they eventually filtered in to a larger degree by the time we were at the under 16. But what was interesting is Clemson gets off to this incredible run in the first half. They go on a 21-0 run. They're leading the second half. They're leading going into the second half by more than 20 points, and it was just bizarre to see BYU getting run out of the building. And at that point, I did not think a comeback to win the game was on the table. It was noticeable how Dybansta wasn't a factor in the game. And at that point in that moment, it was a little bit of a flashback to the loss against UConn, where he didn't really do much in the first half and then really came to life in the second half. And then they come out of the second half and they make a run, and GP's back, and I'll throw it back to him in just a second. But I talked with the staff at BYU after the game, and actually Dybantsa as well. And apparently Kevin Young just went from the coach's room, which is adjacent to the main locker room, walked in, and there was not a 4 or 5 minute speech or going to the whiteboard. It was just simply, all right, this is on you guys. Do you want to fix this or not? Because BYU has had a few games this season where it is just getting off to bad starts, and it is recovering in the second half. And so apparently it was an extremely short talk. The silence kind of hung in the air a little bit, and the message was delivered. And then we can get into Dybantsa stuff in the second half, BP. But when you had to bail out of there, I was just setting the scene in the first half stuff, which was, I went from thinking, okay, so how good is BYU, or is Clemson, is Clemson actually a lot better than we thought, to BYU just taking over the game in the second half, one of the more impressive second halves by any team we've seen this entire season.
Yeah, so I don't know what you said while I froze and had to disappear.
Yeah, it's all good.
I froze and I had to, but what I was so weird experience for me. Last night, my middle guy had his Christmas program at school, which was early, so I was reduced to watching most of the first half, or at least following most of the first half of BYU Clemson on my phone. The Wi-Fi / cell network in his auditorium, it wasn't stellar. So there's no way to stream it. I'm just sort of like following it on my phone. Also paying close attention to the Christmas program. Don't worry about it.
Sure.
But following the score on my phone. And then at one point, I look down, I guess maybe we're in the second half now. It's 47-38. And I'm like, okay, 47-38. BYU's trying to get back into this thing. And then I'm paying attention to like jingle bells, jingle bells. And then I look down, it's like 47-38. And I'm like, Rudolph the Red, and they're doing that thing, whatever they do. And and I look down again and I'm like, how do you have this amazing school we pay all this money for, and I can't get cell phone service in the auditorium? I don't is AJ Dybantsa going for 35? Is he 0 of 17? Why am I stuck at 47-38? And I'm cussing the school in a church almost. It's like, it's not, the optics aren't great. And then I notice the other scores are changing on my scoreboard app, on the CBS Sports app. Why are the other scores changing, but I'm stuck at 47-38? Yeah. So then I actually had to walk. I think my phone's not working. I walk outside to scroll Twitter, and I'm like, okay, they're in a delay. Dybantsa broke the goal. So I was actually happy, because I was worried I was going to miss the end of BYU Clemson and the beginning of UConn Florida because of this Christmas program. So I know you hated the delay, but it allowed it was good for me. The delay was, I appreciate Dybantsa because the delay actually, it coordinated better with the way my Tuesday night was going to unfold.
Well, you need to thank Roger Ayers, because he's the official who noticed something was ajar or awry with the backboard and or rim, and we're not watching the game's television broadcast, so we understood there might be something like slightly minor. So it went from thinking this would be a 2-minute thing to a full-on 15-minute delay that required a 3-minute warm-up altogether. and it did allow you to get home in time, which was beneficial. But yeah, that was just, especially doubleheader in one building. Think of the writers, think of the media people.
Oh, I know. It's
that need to take care of their stories and delays all the more. I've got a lower timbre in my voice this morning because your boy's working here over on fewer than 5 hours sleep.
Oh,
but
yeah. No, I like, these are things. It's one thing when you have one game, or because we have these same types of situations when we're in studio. It's one thing when you got a 7 o'clock game in Stores and then a 9 o'clock game in Omaha, and you're just going from one to the other. One has no impact on the other. But when you are in the same building, every minute this one game goes long is a minute the other game's going later. So you push the entire night back. Like, you ever see us in studio for a multi-team event all happening at the same arena? The last thing you want in game one is overtime or any kind of delay, condensation on the floor. Let's clean that up. You're making everybody's night later. So I was thinking of you last night. I said a prayer for you after I got through cussing out the cell phone service in church. I said a prayer for you because I was like, I'm in church. This is a good place to pray. You ain't been in your scripture, and it shows. Maybe you paid a punishment for that last night. You think that was God's way of repaying you for not being in your scripture? He delayed. You don't know that.
It was not. I assure you.
You don't know that.
I was one of 18,000 people in the building. It was not about me. Let's be very clear. I'm not.
But it was New York City, and I imagine there's a lot of people ain't been in their scripture.
Okay, keep it moving here. Dybantsa was awesome. Can we get back on topic, please?
28 points. He was awesome.
This was the game. We'll link this in the show feed after here. This was the game that did announce his arrival. He has been a very good college freshman to this point. This is the start of the journey. He outscored Clemson in the second half, 22-21, accounted for 34 of BYU's 45 second half points via buckets or assists. The BYU defense held Clemson to only 4 points through the first almost 12 minutes of the second half. It wasn't just Dybansta. Keita was causing 20-minute game delays and had all these alley-oops and a couple of big swats, and then you had Wright hitting the winner, and Wright himself had a really nice game. It was as much of a team effort, and also AJ Dybansta made it happen as you could possibly ask for. And this was the game. This was the second half that maybe it does put BYU in the Final Four contender status. There's no doubt about it. Maybe ultimately it's going to be the game that we see. This is why BYU is a national championship contender, that it could be one of the three best teams in a loaded Big 12, but he got unleashed. And I talked to Dybansta a little bit afterward, talked to Rob Wright, and then I talked to Kevin Young, and he said, he was settling too much, on the outskirts near the baseline. And he said, we had this thing with Kevin Durant in Phoenix, me and Monty Williams, and Monty Williams referenced from when apparently they used to do this with Tim Duncan. And it was just kind of, if you're a certain level of talent, just find your spot, the game, don't overthink it, go to your spot and see if we can make something happen. And so that's what Dybansta did. He became more aggressive. His signature play of the game, I think, is the tomahawk dunk down the lane, put him up 6 with a minute and change to go. But it was very, very, very impressive to see. This becomes one of the 3 or 4 most notable performances of the season so far, and a season which we're going to get so many more. To do this on the Garden stage in comeback fashion, by the time all the UConn and Florida fans had really begun to filter in, because given that game delay as well, like I said when you were off the air, the crowd was not good in the first half. For the first part of the first half, it wasn't good. But then as BYU was coming back and the building was just about filled, it was a really, really awesome, really cool environment in there. And then as for the game-winning play, I tried to get the name of it. There's multiple names for it. Kevin Young would not give me it. He almost did. He's like, you know what? I got to hold on to that. I was like, okay, fair. Rob Wright was the third option. Richie Saunders was the first option. The staff told me, yeah, we actually thought he was due. We wanted him to take that shot in that moment. But he makes a curl. He's still pretty covered. so they don't go to him. Then Dybantsa just makes like a quick, juke step, not there. Wright comes flying in, takes that shot from 30 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
Really awesome moment. Great for him. I got a chance to spend a few minutes with it was basically me, Dybantsa, and Wright in the locker room after most had kind of filtered out, and really cool to see two super happy guys in their moment, in their element, both having just played at the Garden for the first time in their life and made a lifetime memory. So really, really cool stuff. It is a heart. I mean, Clemson just, you had the game. It just that was a really bad choke, like really bad. But you do have to credit BYU for just really, bull by the horn stuff. And Dybansta showed #1 overall pick material. You had Brad Stevens, Sean Marks. There were, I counted just by visual, at least 5 or 6 general managers in the building last night. There were probably more, given that it was Dybansta, and he put on a display that immediately and again reinforces the idea that he has just as strong of a case to be the #1 pick as anyone else in next year's draft.
Well, I mean, you can see it. Like I say this sometimes about prospects. You don't have to have a subscription to 24/7 Sports. You should have a subscription to 24/7 Sports. That goes without saying. But you don't have to have one to walk in the gym and just tell that guy's different than everybody else. The way he, as you put it, gets to his spots, the way he shot makes, the way he shot creates, the way he can go by little guys or go by bigger guys or shoot over smaller guys. He's just a uniquely gifted guy who has been described this way for quite literally years. You remember we were at Peach Jam. I did a story on him. It was after his freshman year of high school. Now he reclassed, so it wasn't as far back as you might, as that implies. But he led Peach Jam in scoring after his freshman year of high school. Like, that's not normal. He's not normal. And last night was not his first good game of the season, but certainly his biggest game of the season on the biggest stage that they've been placed on so far. So he was terrific. But I think more than just him, you saw last night what that BYU team can be. Now, I saw it in the chat. I'm not picking on anybody, but like I just sort of roll my eyes sometimes when things like that gets tossed out. Like, if BYU plays like that in the second half, who's going to beat them? Well, nobody, I guess. But like, that's not. If BYU plays like that in the first half, who are they going to beat? I mean, we could do this all day long.
Right.
Nobody plays like that in the second half. AJ Dybantsa is not going to outscore power conference teams over the final 20 minutes of games by himself.
Yes.
So that's not that. That was an incredible final 20 minutes, but not an indication of what they're going to consistently be, any more than what they were in the first half is an indication of what they're going to consistently be. But this is why I was high on them in the preseason. I forget the exact numbers, but it was like over the final 8 weeks of the season last season, they performed like a top 10 team in the country, maybe even better than that, according to the metrics at barttorvik.com. And then they bring back 2 starters, and I believed upgraded in terms of college basketball players at every position where they weren't returning a starter. And that's why I had them preseason top 5. I think I've got them 6th right now, but that's only because these 4 undefeated teams have just sort of jumped them, and they do have the 1 loss, but they look the part. They look like they can do anything you want them to do. In terms of accomplishments in this season, win the Big 12, go to a Final Four, win the whole thing. They've got the pieces to do that. And I know Dybantsa gets all of the attention from last night, but I thought Keba Keita was awesome. I love bigs like him. I think my favorite kind of college bigs, like my favorite, are like 6'6" centers, like dating back to my childhood, but also just the monsters. Set a screen, roll to the rim. We're going to throw it up there. You go get it, break the rim. Like he's built for that. He quite literally did it last night. And he's taken a jump. He looks the part, obviously, but now he seems real comfortable out there. And that BYU team's they're a factor. They're a factor for anything.
Yeah, we can move on just a second. Just a couple dangling thoughts. One, so Keita does He breaks the rim, then we have the game delay. He had like 2 more, maybe 3 more dunks after. Like that wasn't going to stop him from going Keba and doing his Keba thing, which I love. And yes, his presence on the floor, there just are not a lot of teams in the country. When you factor in how good of a scorer Saunders is Dybantsa and his all-world ability, Rob Wright is capable on a given night for going 20 plus. In addition to like Kennard Davis has been back in the fold. They've got improving depth, but then like Keda's physical presence is just, there might be 5 teams that have someone like that really can be a game wrecker. I completely agree with you on that. I didn't toss out Dybansa's official stat line. Career high 28 points, career high 9 rebounds, career high 6 assists, and his distribution I thought was tremendous and kind of plucked all the right notes in the second half for the most part. It was really impressive. And then on the Big 12 note, in talking to the staff after, that was a major talking point. Like, we had the rough start against what I guess it was, UConn, and then again against Miami, and then again against Dayton. Now they won the Miami-Dayton games. They were able to win this one. But it is acknowledged in that locker room that this can't keep happening, or they're going to get picked off a lot in the Big 12. There's no like, hey, all right, go out and run around for 20 minutes. We regather at the half, and then we flip the switch and make it happen. Not going to happen. Big 12 is the best league in the country this season. And if BYU has this settle as a personality trait, then BYU is not going to finish first, second, third, or fourth in the league. That just will not happen. So they're aware of that. Now what's interesting is they've finished every notable non-con game on the schedule. Upcoming is UC Riverside Pacific, Abilene Christian, and Eastern Washington up from now until over the next 2 weeks. And then they open league play on January 3rd against K-State. So they're going to have games, but they're not going to have high-level competition for a minute here. Be interested to see the way they won this game, if it has any kind of staying power in 3 weeks from now or not. But regardless, legendary night. And as I wrote at the top of the column, who knows where Dybansta is going to play in the NBA? He's going to get picked first, second, or third at the absolute worst, right? And that just speaks to the strength of the class overall. But there's no guarantee that he ever has a more special moment or memorable game at MSG than what he did on Tuesday night. To me, it recalled Carmelo's awesome debut at Syracuse in 2002. It recalled Zion's debut with Duke in the Champions Classic. We get every so often a freshman that has a particularly memorable game either against the opponent or the location. For Dybansta, his true coming out party was at the Garden. That's pretty cool.
We're hoping he plays down here in Memphis. Yeah. We wouldn't mind having him down here in Memphis.
I'm sure you wouldn't. Yes.
We would welcome him down here in Memphis. I'd like to spend the next 10 years with AJ Dybantsa. We'll see how that goes.